When you think about workplace safety, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it a hard hat? Maybe some bright yellow warning signs? Well, yeah, that's part of it, but that's only half the picture. The other half is totally invisible, but it's every bit as important. Okay, let's dive into the two sides of what makes a workplace genuinely safe.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the full spectrum of hazards. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of handling physical risks. From there, we'll talk about building a supportive culture, lay out a really smart framework for safety, and wrap up with a look at why this is truly everyone's responsibility.
So, first things first, let's get our heads around the full scope of what we're actually dealing with here. I like to call it the workplace hazard spectrum.
Think of it like this. On one side, you've got the stuff you can literally see and measure, the noisy machinery, the heavy lifting, the obvious dangers. But on the other side, you have the risks you can't see, things like chronic stress, a real lack of support, or just terrible communication. These cultural and psychological factors, they can be just as damaging. A truly safe workplace has to nail both sides of this coin.
Okay, let's start with the tangible stuff, the things we can touch and feel. Let's talk about tackling the physical risks that are all around us in so many jobs.
You know, the International Labor Organization has a fantastic term for this: ambient factors. It's basically all the hazardous stuff just hanging out in the work environment itself. We're talking about the noise, the vibrations from tools, extreme heat or cold, all the things that can slowly, or sometimes quickly, harm a person's health.
And this isn't some abstract idea, right? This is the daily reality for millions. It's the relentless drone of machinery that could lead to hearing loss down the road. It's the constant shaking from a power tool that might cause nerve damage. It could even be something as simple but as serious as a back injury from lifting a box the wrong way.
And check this out. This is where the data really brings these risks to life. This isn't just a guess. This table shows a real workday, measuring the exact noise and vibration from specific tools. I mean, look at that air saw hitting 105 decibels. That is dangerously loud, way above safe limits. And a vibration level of 15? That's huge. This is how you actually quantify that invisible damage that builds up in a worker's body shift after shift.
So what do we do about it? Well, thankfully, the guidance is super practical. For something as common as carrying heavy stuff, you could totally redesign the workflow so no one has to carry it. Or use a simple cart. Or just make the packages smaller. It's all about systematically finding ways to reduce the risk step by step.
And this brings us to a really crucial question. We've talked about what we can measure with a noise meter or a vibration sensor. But what about the risks that don't show up on any kind of gauge?
This is where we flip the coin over and look at the other face of safety, building a culture that is genuinely supportive and protects an employee's well-being. And this quote just nails it. A supportive culture isn't something that just happens. The UK's National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE for short, makes it clear it has to be a proactive and consistent approach. You know, it's a core value that has to start at the top and really be felt by everyone in the organization. Now, one of the biggest tests of a company's culture is how it handles a long-term sickness absence. We're talking about someone being out for 4 or more weeks. This is such a critical time where an employee can either feel totally supported or completely abandoned. And there's a clear process for this. For instance, in the UK, when a manager gets a doctor's fit note, it's not just a piece of paper to file away. Nope, it's the starting pistol for a conversation. It's about talking with the employee about adjustments, maybe getting some expert advice, and then working together to create a clear, written plan for their return. This process takes that fuzzy idea of support and turns it into real, concrete actions. So, you might be thinking these two worlds, the physical hazards and the supportive cultures, are totally separate things. But what if I told you there's a single framework that works beautifully for both? It's called the hierarchy of controls, and it's brilliant. You always start at the top. The first question is, can you just get rid of the hazard completely, eliminate it? If you can't, can you substitute it with something safer? And you work your way down the list. The most important thing to remember here is that PPE, giving someone a hard hat or, in a cultural sense, maybe sending them to a stress management workshop, that is always the last resort. The real goal is to fix the system, not just patch up the person trying to survive in a broken one.
Okay, let's head into our final section, because this all builds to one key idea: shared responsibility. A safe workplace isn't just one person's job.
The employer's role is absolutely fundamental.
They're the ones who have to assess all the risks, take real action to reduce them, provide good supervision and training, and then, this is key, make sure the safety measures are actually being used and are working. Basically, they build and maintain the entire safety system.
But, and this is a big but, workers have a super important part to play inside that system. They have to follow the safety rules, look out for themselves and their teammates, speak up when they see something dangerous, and use the gear they're given the right way. It's a true partnership. So, to wrap this all up, a genuinely safe workplace looks at the whole person. It protects them from the loud machine and the heavy box, for sure, but it also protects them from the burnout, the isolation, and the lack of support that can be just as harmful. It is not an either-or situation.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Take a hard look at your own work environment. Is it just designed to check boxes and prevent accidents on paper? Or is it truly built from the ground up to protect and support the actual people who show up to work there every single day?